but I'm hearing about billions of dollars being donated. So I don't know where the money's going. Suffering from a stomach hernia, which makes it hard for me to walk to various different services to apply. I'm not perfect, but I'm just trying to survive.
This is Global Homeless News, where we uncover the stories most people ignore. San Francisco may be famous for its sweeping views of the Golden Gate Bridge, the clang of cable cars, and its colorful, culture-rich neighborhoods like Chinatown, the Mission District, and Haight-Ashbury. For tourists and filmmakers, it's a dream city packed with character and charm. But beneath that sparkling surface hides a devastating truth. San Francisco is facing a homelessness crisis that's spiraling out of control. Every night, thousands of people sleep on sidewalks, in their cars, or under makeshift shelters made from cardboard and tarps. And while homelessness is a growing issue across the U.S., the contrast feels especially intense here. In a place known for its billion-dollar tech companies and sky-high rent prices, housing costs have exploded. Truly affordable homes are nearly impossible to find. And if someone loses a job or faces an emergency, they can fall into homelessness almost overnight. It's not just a crisis, it's a daily struggle for survival. In this powerful episode, we dive into the heart of San Francisco's homeless crisis. What's happening now, why it's gotten so bad, and how the city is trying to respond. But most importantly, we hear directly from those who are living it. Their voices, their pain, their truth. We'll also take a closer look at other major cities, comparing what works and what doesn't. Because finding real solutions means understanding the bigger picture. According to the 2024 point-in-time count, around 8,323 people in San Francisco are currently experiencing homelessness. Shockingly, over 2,900 of them are unsheltered, living in tents, vehicles, or directly on streets. With nearly 875,000 residents, this puts San Francisco among the highest per capita homelessness rates in the entire country. Now, it's important to understand the difference. Sheltered means staying temporarily in emergency housing or shelters. But unsheltered means living in places never meant for humans. Under overpasses, on park benches, or in alleys throughout neighborhoods like the Tenderloin, south of Market, and the Mission. The evidence is impossible to ignore. Rows of tents, people wrapped in sleeping bags, and shelters held together by sheer will and scraps. This isn't a lifestyle people choose. It's a last resort. The visibility of this crisis makes one thing painfully clear. Our housing system is broken. Social safety nets have holes big enough for entire families to fall through, and those left behind are trying to survive the only way they can. Local communities are torn between compassion and concern. Residents, small business owners, and nonprofits are all caught in the middle, worried about public health, safety, and sanitation, but also wanting to treat people with respect and dignity. Some want stricter rules and removal of encampments. Others say without real affordable housing, it's just moving the problem from one block to another. Sidewalks are crowded, renters feel unsafe, and many fear the city's image is being shattered. After all, rent for a tiny one-bedroom apartment can cost over $3,000 a month. But these numbers hide something deeper. Behind every statistic is a story. A person who once had a job, a home, a normal life. Then something happened. A lost job, a medical emergency, a death in the family, and suddenly, everything collapsed. Have you ever stopped and wondered, what if it were you? What if one emergency took away everything? That's the terrifying reality in one of the most expensive cities in America. Rent in San Francisco is outrageous. Even the cheapest hotel rooms used to cost $550 a month years ago. Now, they've jumped to $1,500 to $2,000, a price that many retirees and low-income earners simply cannot afford.
Well, the price of the cost of the lowest, cheapest hotel room was $550 a month years ago. Now it's gone up to $1,500 to $2,000 a month.
Even a stable income isn't enough. Gig workers, part-time employees, and those in unstable industries are living paycheck to paycheck, constantly one crisis away from disaster. A health scare, a family emergency. It's all it takes to push someone from a small apartment to the cold sidewalk. Domestic violence survivors often escape danger only to face the horror of having nowhere to go. And for those who are sick, things can spiral even faster. Not every homeless person is addicted or mentally ill, but many are battling serious health issues, both physical and mental. Without stable shelter or consistent medical care, these conditions get worse. And once someone is trapped in that cycle, it becomes nearly impossible to break free. In San Francisco, housing and health are tied together in a brutal loop. If you lose your home, your health declines. If you're sick, it's harder to keep a roof over your head. And that vicious cycle keeps spinning. Any honest conversation about homelessness in America must face this truth. Without real solutions that address both housing and health, we're not solving anything. One of the biggest strategies shaping San Francisco's response to homelessness is the housing first model, and it flips the old system on its head. Instead of forcing people to get sober or join programs before they can get housing, this model says, put them in a home first, then help them deal with the deeper challenges like addiction, mental illness, or a job loss. It's simple. When someone has a roof over their head, they're in a better position to start rebuilding their life. San Francisco has launched several navigation centers that work differently from traditional shelters. These places are designed to be more welcoming. They let people stay with their partners, keep their pets, and bring their belongings. That might not seem like much, but for someone living on the streets, those things could be the reason they avoid shelters altogether. Inside these centers, people can get help right away. Legal aid, job placement, mental health support. It's all there under one roof. While emergency shelters still exist, many unhoused individuals say they're overcrowded, strict, and offer little privacy. During the pandemic, the city rolled out Project Room Key, transforming empty hotels and motels into safe temporary housing. The goal? Keep vulnerable homeless people off the streets and stop the spread of illness. That was just the start. Later came Project Home Key, which took things a step further, buying those hotel buildings and converting them into long-term housing. It skipped the long delays tied to building from scratch. But there's a catch. These programs rely on continued funding and strong management to stay afloat. In a bold move, voters passed Proposition C, a measure that taxes big businesses making over $50 million a year. The money? It's set to bring in hundreds of millions to fund housing, mental health services, shelters, and other life-saving support. But here's the hard part: making sure the money actually helps people and doesn't just get lost in government delays. The system is only as strong as its follow-through. As we keep uncovering the truth about homelessness in San Francisco, your support matters. If this content speaks to you, like, comment, and subscribe to Global Homeless News. Every click helps shine a light on stories that deserve to be heard. Because homelessness isn't just numbers, it's human lives, hidden in plain sight. A lot of people think there's just one path to becoming homeless. But the truth in San Francisco is far more complicated. Some people once had steady jobs and homes, until they lost everything after a layoff or medical emergency. Others are survivors of domestic abuse, trying to escape dangerous situations. Many live with physical disabilities or mental health issues that make holding down a job nearly impossible. And shockingly, there are even people who work full-time, but still end up in their cars or shelters because rent is simply too high. Imagine working hard every day and still not being able to afford a place to sleep. That's the harsh reality for thousands in this city. Even programs designed to help sometimes come with rules that push people away. Curfews, limits on personal items, and bans on pets can make shelters feel more like a trap than a refuge. Someone who relies on their dog for emotional support might have nowhere to go if shelters won't allow animals. Safety concerns, fear of theft, and worries about illness also drive many people to avoid traditional shelter spaces. That's where navigation centers come in. They remove those barriers and give people a real chance at recovery. They create a sense of community instead of control. Because being homeless isn't just about losing a house. It's about losing safety, privacy, and your ability to do the most basic things. Taking a shower, washing clothes, charging a phone, even checking your mail becomes a challenge when you don't have a stable address. Public transportation gaps can make it nearly impossible to get to a job interview or a doctor's appointment. Every step becomes harder. Every day becomes a test of survival. That's why cities need real, full-circle solutions. Because unhoused people aren't just stats. They're human beings trying to make it through the day with dignity. Now let's take a step back and look beyond San Francisco. New York City has the largest homeless population in the U.S. But what it looks like there is very different. Thanks to New York's right to shelter law, nearly all homeless individuals are offered a bed in a shelter every single night. That law makes a huge difference. Fewer people are seen sleeping on the streets. But it also comes at a cost. The city spends a massive amount to keep that system running. Still, the result is clear. Less visible homelessness and more people indoors. In contrast, San Francisco doesn't have that kind of law. And without that safety net, many are left to sleep outside every single night. The difference between these two cities shows how policy shapes perception. It also highlights how real estate markets and government priorities affect the outcome for vulnerable people. It's a powerful reminder that how we respond to homelessness matters just as much as how many people are affected. Now let's turn to Los Angeles, where the crisis reaches a whole new scale. Los Angeles County is home to over 60,000 people experiencing homelessness. Many are concentrated in high-profile areas like Skid Row, where tents stretch for blocks and the struggle for survival plays out in public view every day. Much like San Francisco, Los Angeles is drowning in a housing crisis, with thousands living unsheltered. But LA's problems are even bigger in scale. Why? Because it's a sprawling maze of cities and neighborhoods, stretching for miles. That makes it harder to reach everyone, harder to provide consistent help, and harder to create real change. Meanwhile, Seattle faces a crisis that's growing by the day. Housing costs are skyrocketing. Inequality is widening. Tent encampments are now part of the city's landscape. And then there's the weather. Cold, wet nights, constant rain, damp conditions that wear people down, just like San Francisco's fog and sudden chills. It's misery with no place to go. And in every one of these cities, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, New York, the story is the same. Too many people. Not enough affordable homes. Each place has tried different tactics. But local efforts, even with the best intentions, only go so far. That raises the real question. How much of this crisis is actually national? Because when you see the same problems coast to coast, it's no longer just a city issue. It's about national housing policies and an economy that leaves too many people behind. Real change won't happen until the federal government, state leaders, and big cities work together on real solutions. So where do we start? It begins with housing. Real, affordable, accessible housing. That means holding developers accountable, requiring more below-market units, speeding up construction, and yes, funding public housing like it actually matters. But we also need to rethink what counts as a home. Empty hotels, old office buildings, abandoned storefronts, all can be converted into livable housing. San Francisco's Project Home Key is proof it works, but it needs to grow fast, because housing is just one piece of the puzzle. Without mental health care, without addiction treatment, without job training or trauma counseling, people won't stay housed. They'll fall right back through the cracks. That's why the Housing First model only works when it's backed by wraparound support, services that stay with people for the long haul. And that takes more than good ideas. It takes cooperation between city agencies, between nonprofits, between people who actually show up. And yes, it takes money, lots of it. That's where Proposition C comes in, taxing big businesses to fund mental health, housing, and support services. But passing the tax was the easy part. Now, the city has to deliver. Every dollar must count. Every program must work. No more delays. No more excuses. And let's be real. San Francisco's wealth, its booming tech companies and millionaire developers, has played a major role in this crisis. But it also means they have the power to help fix it. Some companies have stepped up with donations and job programs, but most, they're still on the sidelines, fighting regulations, avoiding responsibility. That needs to change. If San Francisco wants to stay a world-class city, it has to take care of the people who build it, clean it, serve it, and too often get left behind. And for visitors, San Francisco is more than the Golden Gate Bridge or cable cars. It's a city full of contradictions, beauty and struggle, progress and pain. A city that can break your heart and give you hope on the same block. If you really want to experience this city, go beyond the picture-perfect views. Visit a community center, talk to people on the front lines, volunteer, donate, learn, witness. Because the homelessness crisis here isn't just a policy failure. It's a human tragedy, playing out every single day. San Francisco's problems are deep. The housing shortage, the mental health gaps, the broken policies. They didn't happen overnight, and they won't disappear overnight either. But here's what is happening. Navigation centers are expanding. Project Home Key is turning buildings into homes. Prop C is funneling money into real solutions. And thousands of people, activists, caseworkers, nurses, neighbors, are fighting like hell to turn this around. Every housing voucher issued, every building converted, every life stabilized. It all adds up. But momentum only lasts if we keep pushing. The question is, will city leaders, corporate giants, and everyday citizens step up? Or will they retreat when the headlines fade? San Francisco has the brains, the money, the innovation, and yes, the heart to make real change. Now it just needs the will. Tens of thousands of people, seniors, workers, children, are hanging by a thread. One missed paycheck, one illness, one rent hike away from disaster. So if you ever find yourself walking these streets, don't just see the postcard version. Look deeper. Step into the neighborhoods most people ignore. Visit a shelter. Support a cause. Learn someone's name. Because sometimes, the most powerful part of a trip is the moment you stop being a tourist and start being human. If this story moved you, don't scroll away. Like this video. Share it. Because the more people see it, the harder it is to ignore. Subscribe to Global Homeless News for real stories, real people, and real solutions from cities across the world. This isn't just San Francisco's crisis. It's happening everywhere, and it's closer to you than you think. Together, we can amplify the voices that rarely get heard, shine a light on what's broken, and push for the change that's long overdue. So next time you visit a city, don't just take in the skyline. Step into the shadows and see the truth behind the beauty. We're Global Homeless News, and we're just getting started.